Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of What Would That Sound Like? The show where we take the tips and tricks of today's top thought leaders and I show you how to communicate them to your teams, companies, and conferences. I just finished up my time with Baer and Daniel Lemin's book called Talk Triggers, which they say is their complete guide to creating customers based on word of mouth advertising. This was a really exciting read, and I think that anybody who is trying to generate sales or bringing customers to your to be a part of your product, your service, your restaurant, you'll get something out of this book and hopefully out of this as I break down the 4 R's of creating talk triggers. So let's figure out what would that sound like. Building a business and building sales is different than it used to be. It's much different than it used to be. The ROI on stuff like TV ads or even internet ads is not what it used to be. Not everyone's watching TV the way that they used to. They're going to different places. They may not even see your commercials online. We're so inundated with social media, with advertising, with so many distractions that we often tune out the stuff that we're seeing online, that 5-second video that plays before we get to the content we actually want. So if the traditional methods like TV and internet advertising isn't working to grow your business and to grow sales, how do we try to grow sales in a different way? Think about it this way. All of us have had an experience where a friend, a loved one, a family member has raved about a product, a service, a restaurant, something like that. When that happens, we are so much more likely to check out that thing than if we just saw a commercial for it or it popped up before that video we were trying to watch. Word of mouth advertising is so powerful, and oftentimes we write it off as if it's some kind of old, outdated thing, but it's one of the most powerful advertising tools that you can use to build your company, to build your brand, and to bring in new customers and clients. That's where talk triggers come in. Talk triggers are simple and powerful phrases that communicate something about your company or business's core values. If what you're doing isn't remarkable enough to talk about, you're never going to get that word of mouth sale or the word of mouth advertising to get new customers in if it's not worth talking about. So creating talk triggers is going to do that. So let me put it simply. Talk triggers are the things that we do that get our customers talking. That's basically what it is. So what I want to do is I want to break down the 4 R's of creating talk triggers. So I want you to be able to see some examples, be able to walk away and take something away to create talk triggers or talkable moments, so to speak, with your customers and your future potential customers. So let's take some notes here. The 4 R's of creating talk triggers. The first R is remarkable. It should be remarkable. If your product or service isn't interesting enough for a customer to mention, it's not a talk trigger. Now, what's interesting about this is this doesn't have to necessarily be the heart or the thing that you do. It doesn't have to be the product necessarily in and of itself. It can be a part of your company or a part of your culture, something that you do, but it has to be remarkable. Take, for example, Cheesecake Factory. Most of you guys know Cheesecake Factory is a restaurant. 57% of Cheesecake Factory customers talk about the enormous size of their menu. This isn't necessarily their product, which is food service, which is the actual food. This is just a part of what they do. Over half of their customers tell their friends and family about the size of the menu. They'll say things like, they had something for everyone. They had over 60 or 80 just chicken dishes. If you're hungry, you don't know what you want, go there because there's so many different options. Their remarkable talking point was just, or talking trigger rather, was just the size of their menu. But the important part to remember here is it has to be something not necessarily exactly what you do or your product or your service, but it has to be something that stands out, that's remarkable, because it has to be worth talking about. So remember the first R, which is, it has to be remarkable. The second R is relevant. Good talk triggers say something about you, your product, your company, and its values. Take, for example, how many of you guys have ever stayed at a DoubleTree hotel before? I've stayed at many. I've stayed at many hotels as I've done gigs and events all across the country. But I love staying at DoubleTrees. Why is that? Because when you check in at a DoubleTree, whether it's me, you, or anybody else, they do something very special. They give you a warm chocolate chip cookie, and it is awesome. It does feel remarkable. but it's also relevant. Now, it might not immediately jump off the page and shout relevant to you, because how does giving a cookie have to do with hotel service in the hotel industry? This directly correlates and ties into DoubleTree's core value, which is cozy hospitality. By getting a warm cookie handed to you, you feel good. You feel welcome. You feel like someone was expecting you to be there. You feel like you're at home. So something as small and as simple as a warm cookie handed to a guest is something that's not just remarkable, but it's relevant to that company's core value, and it expresses and shows us as customers, us as guests, what they're all about. So your talk points should be relevant to your company or business's core values. The third R is reasonable. Now, when I think of talk triggers and talk points, it's easy to think it has to be something like, come join us or buy our product or eat at our restaurant or come play at our casino and you could win a car this month. Actually, the grandiose, big, giant things, sometimes they come off as inauthentic, maybe kind of like skeevy. What I'm getting at is your talk points don't have to be crazy. In fact, letting them be smaller and more reasonable may actually build trust between you and your customers. Let me give you an example. Five Guys is a burger joint. I think it's all across the country. If you don't know what Five Guys is, it's like an In-N-Out or The Habit. It's a fast casual, not really you can sit down there, but you don't have a waiter. It's a fast casual burger joint. What they do and what stands out is their reasonable offer. Every customer gets an extra serving of French fries with their meal. It's pretty simple. I don't know of any other burger joints. McDonald's doesn't give you more fries. Wendy's doesn't do it. Chick-fil-A doesn't do it. The Habit doesn't do it. In-N-Out doesn't do it. But guess what? Five Guys will give you more fries with your meal. It's small, but it's exciting, and you better believe that it's popular, and it serves as a talk trigger for their customers and future customers. So it doesn't have to be something that's huge and grandiose, and people will just come in because they want a car. The people will come in because they like more fries. So let your offers, let your talk triggers be things that are reasonable. Now, the fourth and final talk trigger that we're going to talk about today is your talk triggers need to be repeatable. This one can be tricky too, but it needs to be something that works for men, women, white, black, able-bodied, not. It just needs to be something that's repeatable for everyone, because you don't want your word of mouth to start with a customer, to tell someone in their family, say, I had this great experience because of this, and they go, that's cool, but I can't do that because I'm allergic to this, or I'm not tall enough to ride, whatever it is. You want it to be something that's repeatable, which seems difficult because you're trying to cater to every audience. Let me give you a great example of how to do that and how to make things repeatable and make them simple. There's a restaurant out here in California where I live called Skip's Kitchen. Every guest that comes to eat at Skip's Kitchen, as they walk in, they draw a playing card from a deck of cards. If they draw a joker, then their meal is free. So this is something that gets people excited. It's repeatable. Everyone who walks in, it doesn't matter who you are, you get to draw a card, and if it's a joker, your meal's free. It's exciting. People love it. And what I love about this is not only is it repeatable with everyone, it's reasonable. You get to decide how many jokers you're going to put in there. The cost of giving away that free meal is likely really, really minimal for you. You have a lot of control, and the best part of this, the best part is that you don't have to win it to talk about it. People will talk about my son won it, or the people in front of me won it, or I love going to this restaurant because I have the chance of getting a free meal. People talk about it even if they don't benefit from it. It is such a great talk trigger. So you got to make sure that what you're doing is something that's repeatable to every potential customer. So as you're thinking through your potential talk triggers, think through these companies, think about how they did it, how you can adapt it into your own company, your own business, your product, or your service. And remember the 4 R's of creating these talk points, these talk triggers, which are they need to be remarkable and worth talking about. They have to be relevant to your company and your core values. They should be reasonable. They don't have to be outlandish to be good talk triggers. And they need to be repeatable for all your customers. And that's it. That's what it would sound like. Sorry, I know I've had this itch on my nose this whole time. The talk triggers are super powerful. I hope it was really helpful to see how these talk triggers were played out or used in very common or known businesses, and a couple that weren't. They don't have to be crazy or outlandish. They should just be something that's simple and get your customers talking to hopefully bring in and drive sales and new customers to your business. So I hope that was tremendously helpful for you. If you want to get in contact with me, you can email me in my personal email, which is SeanPatrickDJ, SEAN, PatrickDJ@gmail.com. If you want to connect, I'd love to be a part of your network. Let's connect on Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever. You can find me just about anywhere at Sean Patrick DJ. And if you've got a keynote or a presentation coming up you don't want to miss, right below here, click that link and I will send you my free PDF to get you prepared for that. So until next time, we'll see you right here on What Would That Sound Like?